everyone. Hello. Welcome in to Adobe Live here on Behance.net. My name is Voodoo Val, and I am going to be your host today for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I'm so excited for this morning's challenge. I see so many familiar faces in the chat. I see Julia Masalska in the house. It's good to see you, girl. I'm glad you're here. Noor, welcome back. Austin, Brian, Sam, Ava, Valentine, Chad, and Sean. It's good to see you all here. I think I saw Adobe Live in the chat as well. And Zombie Army, good morning, sir. It's good to see you. We've got some pretty awesome challenges planned for this morning, but before we jump into that, I just want to double check that everybody knows that we're going to be getting into a whole day of design after the stream today. So real quick, I am going to pull that up so everyone can see our schedule right after I'm also going to mute these notifications here so that you guys don't hear my top secret messages from the Slack coming in. All right, so let me pull up the schedule. I obviously am kicking off this morning with the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. We've got Natalia coming up with digital imaging after me. Sam Anderson is going to be kicking off the XD Daily Creative Challenge after that, and then we're going to end the day with Mustafa doing designing with plugins in Adobe XD. So it should be pretty fun. We're going to jump into challenge number 4 of our short 5 challenge week for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. If you've never been here and you don't know what exactly we're doing, or maybe you just need a quick reminder and a refresh about our challenges, head on over to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, and that page will look a little bit like this. And basically here is where you can get a little recap and explanation of what we're doing. You've got a little how does it work section here that tells you basically every day you will receive a challenge. You can come here at 8 a.m. Pacific, and all of the challenges will be unlocked to you day by day. We've also already done the brushes challenge, the masks challenge, the content aware fill challenge, and today we are going to be diving into the new and improved warp tool settings. It's going to be super fun. It says design a holiday themed greeting card, add custom shapes and text to your design, and use transform warp to give your cards a unique twist. It's going to be super fun. I'm also going to be getting into the shape tool a little bit today because I've got some pretty cool, clever things that you folks can do with the shape tool in order to create some cool shapes. So we're going to dive into that. Also, if you folks create a entry for these challenges, definitely head on over to our Discord where you can post your entries and mentors in that Discord will take a look at your work, give you some feedback, and so on. You can do that either by, say, joining the community chat or scrolling down here to join us in the chat with the community section. If you want to head back over here at any time because maybe you can't finish today's challenge right when I'm doing it, you folks can always hit the watch video button on every challenge, and it will take you to the corresponding challenge stream so that you can watch that cast later on. And you can also scroll down here and see all of our past challenges, including the Get Started starter file for each of those videos, which is super convenient. So I'm going to jump over to the Discord. The link for that, by the way, is bit.ly/psdiscord. Remember to capitalize that P and that S, otherwise you will not be sent to the proper Discord channel. So PS Discord, capital P, capital S, and that will look a little something like this. Let me pull this up. So this is our Discord. As you can see, I've already come in here and given some feedback, and Sam and Tim are usually in here giving feedback as well. We did an interesting kind of head swap yesterday. We swapped out faces and heads from people in holiday photos and added in animal heads because why not? We had a pretty good time doing that. We also did some pretty cool challenges where we did some superimposing of portraits, like a 80s or 90s style portrait. Up here, if you guys scroll through and look at all of the previous challenges, everyone has done such a wonderful job. I've actually supplied these pictures of myself in the previous starter file, so if you'd like to get your hands on these gems, definitely check out the past challenges and download that starter file. But yeah, it's been a blast so far, and we are going to jump into our next challenge. So, if you folks actually download that starter file, it'll look a little something like this. This says, challenge 4, holiday themed greeting card, add custom shapes and text to your design and use transform warp to give your cards a unique twist. What I've done here is I have created 2 ornaments, like holiday ornaments, for you folks to use as a base for your design. But I do want to get into kind of how I created these real quick, so that if you would like to create some on your own, maybe with your own custom shapes and your own unique flair added to them, you can. So the first one is the round ornament, and it's pretty straightforward. What I did was I came down here to my shape tool. If you don't see your shape tool, you only see the line tool. All you have to do is right click that in Photoshop and grab your ellipse tool. And I drug a circle out here, and I'm holding shift while I do this so that it's a perfect circle. It's not an oval. Unless you want an oval, that's totally cool. You can do that as well. And I drag that out, and then I'm going to change that color, that fill color, to like a nice red color. And then I also grabbed my rounded rectangle tool, and I'm going to drag that out, holding shift again to make it a perfect square. And then I'm going to say Control T so that I can transform that, and I'm going to drag that to the center top of our circle, like so. And then I just grabbed my line tool, and I drew a nice little line, holding shift to make sure that it is straight. I'm going to say Control T and transform that and bring that to the center here. And that is how I just created a quick little ornament to use as our base, which is pretty fun. I also created that nice little pointed ornament, this one here, like this. This is actually kind of a fun one that I wanted to share with you. So I grabbed my rounded rectangle tool, and I drug a square out like that. And what I am going to do now is, again, I'm going to fill this with a nice red color. And then what I did was I came in here to my properties panel. You can see that it'll probably be on the right-hand side for you by default, but if you don't see that, if you don't see any windows that you see on my Photoshop, or windows that you would just prefer to have on the screen during your work, you can always go up to Window and snag the properties panel or any other panel and have that become visible to you. So what I did here was I went to the topmost corner, and I'm going to change this to like a 100 roundness there. We could even get more dramatic. We can even make that like a 200 roundness and make that super round. And then I'm going to go to the bottom right corner, and I'm going to also change that to 200 like that, and round them. And then I'm going to close that panel. I'm going to say Control T, and I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to hold shift while I do that so that it snaps to certain positions. And then I just created like a really nice shape, like so, in order to make our little pointed ornament shape. So you folks can experiment with that. Maybe you want to make yours a little bit thinner, which is totally cool. However you want to do things, I just thought I would share that clever tidbit of info with you, so that if you want to make an ornament that is not 100% round, you can do it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and say Control Z and back up here, because all we need are these two right here. Now, we're going to spice these up real quick. We're going to make these look super fancy. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm first going to remove my text here. I'm going to hide my pointed ornament here, and I'm going to grab my rounded ornament, and I'm going to drag this to the forefront, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, because we are going to want to make this kind of a focal point here. Maybe a tiny bit smaller. That works right there. That's perfect. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some decorations to our ornament. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to grab our line tool, like so. And I'm going to make sure that I turn the weight up on this to maybe an 80. I'm going to hit enter. And I'm also going to make sure that I have our fill set to white, because I want it to blend in with the background that we have here. And then I'm going to close that. And I'm just going to drag out like so. I'm going to hold shift to make sure that that is straight, and I'm going to drag it out like that. Now if I select another layer, you can see maybe that's not 100% white actually. I want to make sure that this is on like a totally white color here, and you can see I kind of clicked this little image up here that opens up our color picker, and I'm just going to push that up to white to make sure that it is perfectly white, because now you can see it kind of blends into our background really nicely. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say Control T, and I'm going to right click this and I'm going to say warp. Now the warp is going to look a little bit different for those of you who have your Photoshop updated. Normally it has a grid set in here with 2 grid lines coming down and 2 grid lines going horizontally, but now you can see that it just kind of has the outermost brackets that you can grab and drag here into a shape. And it's really kind of a cool thing, because now what we can do is we can right click and we have warp settings that we can add. So if I want to add a vertical warp grid line here, all I have to do is say split warp vertically, and then if I hover over my object here, you can see I can actually place this wherever I want, which is really cool. I can just click there and it adds a nice warp to it. And then I can drag this around and I can make some really nice shapes, like so, which is actually really, really cool. So you folks can come in here and kind of make designs in a really unique and interesting way to add to your ornaments. For this particular part of our ornament, what I'm going to do is I'm going to not add another warp just yet, and I am just going to go ahead and edit it like so. I'm going to make sure I take that warp out. And I am going to drag one of these downward like this, and then I'm going to drag this one upward like so, and I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to pull this down, because I just want to make like a nice little, maybe we'll make it a little bit more dramatic. I just want to make a nice little kind of curved line like that. That's what I want. And I could even say Control T again and hold Shift and Alt and bring this inward like so, so that it's just a nice little wiggle that we're gonna put on there. I could even bring this down a little bit and make it a little bit thinner. I think that looks pretty good. And I'm gonna say okay. I'm even gonna duplicate this because I like this shape, and I'm gonna say Control J. I'm gonna say Control T, and then I'm gonna drag this up to the top of our place here. And I think that looks pretty cool. Now I'm going to add maybe some more swirls and things to this. So I'm going to grab another line, and I'm going to maybe turn this weight down to like a 50 and hit OK. I'm going to drag this line out, and I'm going to do the same thing. Control T, I'm going to right click, I'm going to add a warp, and then maybe I will actually add a vertical line here, because I kind of did like how that warped really dramatically like that, because that adds even more of a wave sort of there. That looks pretty nice. I'm gonna hit enter, and I might even transform this and flip it. I'm gonna say Control T, I'm gonna right click, and then you can actually flip things vertical or horizontal. I'm gonna flip mine horizontal. I'm gonna drag this over here. Maybe we'll even make this kind of intersect a little bit with what we already have. That looks kind of cool. I'm gonna say enter. I'm gonna duplicate that one as well, and maybe I will actually flip this vertically, and then we'll come over here. Maybe I'll rotate that a little bit, and we will add this to the other side here, just to give it some interesting texture. I'll bump it down with my arrow keys and hit OK. So we have kind of an interesting little decoration thing going on here with our main ornament for our holiday card. But what I also want to do is add a bow to the top of this, because I think that would look really nice. And I want to show you guys a really cool technique that I discovered while creating this challenge that I think you guys are going to like. So we're going to go again, we're going to make another line. But we're going to do something different this time. We're going to come up here and we're going to turn the stroke on to that red color that we like. And we're actually going to turn the fill off. I know that sounds strange. So no fill color, just a stroke. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag my line out like this. I'm gonna hold shift to make it straight. Like so. I'm gonna bump the stroke weight up just a little bit so that I have, it almost looks like it's filled in totally, but it's really not. It's just the stroke that is around our shape here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna warp it, and it's gonna look super cool. Check this out. So I'm gonna say Control T, and I'm gonna say warp. And then now if I zoom in here so that you guys can see this, it looks like I actually edited our shape down here to be a little strange. So I'm gonna come back and edit that again because I changed my settings before I made my new line. That's what happened there. But I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna warp this. Let's see, free transform, warp. And when I warp this, because it is on a stroke, it actually gives us that outlined shape, which is super cool. So I can actually come in here and I can make myself a little, maybe like an end to a ribbon. And it's like an outline shape instead of it being more of a shape like this. It's just editing the solid shape, which I think is super cool. So I'm gonna turn this up like this. I'm gonna give this a nice little curve, which I think looks pretty nifty, like that. And I like that. I'm gonna hit enter, and then I'm gonna free transform this, and I'm gonna bring this over here. Maybe I'll turn it this way, and I'm gonna zoom out here, and I'm gonna put this on the edge like so. We're gonna create the end of a little bow here. And I'm gonna duplicate this because I want it on both sides. I'm gonna say Control J, Control T. I'm gonna right click it and I'm gonna hit flip horizontal. And then I'm gonna bump this over like that. And now we're gonna make the loops of our bow. And I'm actually gonna do that with the ellipse tool. And again, I'm gonna keep that fill off and I'm gonna keep the stroke on. And I'm gonna drag out something like this. That looks pretty good. And then again, I'm gonna say Control T. Let me close this properties panel. Control T. I'm gonna right click. We're gonna go into warp. And then I am going to kind of drag this into a bow shape, like so. Maybe I'll do Control T again and make it a little smaller, like that. That looks pretty good to me. And then I am going to put it up here on our little bow area. I'm gonna say enter, yes. I'm gonna say Control J to duplicate, Control T to transform. I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna flip it horizontal, and I'm gonna drag it out here so I have a nice little bow on top of our little ornament here. So now I'm gonna come in here because I do want to make sure that I re-edit our little shape here that I edited. Again, if you find yourself in this situation, basically what I did earlier was I changed the fill and the stroke on this before I drew my new line that I wanted to add those settings to. So now all I have to do to change this back is to make sure that I am selected on that shape. I'm gonna come in here, turn the stroke off, and then add the fill color to white once again. And then that fixes it for us like so. So now we have like this really cool little ornament that I think is pretty neat. And before I add some cool text and design to this, what I also want to do is I want to fill the rest of my canvas with some hanging ornaments. So I'm going to grab all of these little shapes that we just made here. And I am going to group it by clicking the topmost and bottommost layer that I want to add into the group, to select all of them. And I'm going to say Control G to group it together, and I'm going to call this large details, just so that I remember what this is. And I'm going to click our round ornament here, and I'm going to say Control J to duplicate it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here in the background, and I'm going to make some small ornaments hanging around in the background, like so. I'm going to open up this little copy here, and I'm going to grab our, let's see, I'm going to grab our shape line, and I'm just going to make sure I transform that to reach the top so it looks like everything is hanging down. I'm going to unhide our pointed ornament, and I am going to transform that, make it a little smaller, maybe hang this one here to give it some nice texture. I'm going to open this one as well and grab our line. I'm holding shift so that the line weight does not change. And then I'm just going to start placing these little guys around here. I'll grab this again. You can also hold control and click a layer in order to auto select it. Let me open that group and see if that does that for us. Maybe not. And I'm going to grab this shape here. I'm going to also drag this up holding shift so that it just goes off the canvas. And you can kind of do this to taste, I suppose. I guess maybe that's a cooking phrase, but it's the gist is the same. You can basically add these around however you like, whatever you feel is right for your own project. I'm going to make this slightly smaller. Put that right there. All right. And you can do this. You can add as many as you want or as little as you want. I think maybe I'm gonna bump this ornament down here, like so, just to balance it a little more. And I'm gonna grab that line and bump that line up. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna add some text to my main ornament here. So on top of all of these here, I am going to hit T on my keyboard. And I'm going to make sure that my text is set to white. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to grab a font that I like. I like this drag time font here. I'm going to hit here and I'm going to say happy. I'm going to transform that and drag it out. Put that here. And then I'm going to do another text layer and I'm going to say holidays. And I'm going to transform that and drag that out just like that. So we have our little happy holidays thing here. You can also do something cool before I run out of time here. If you keep the fill on white and add no stroke, you can come in with your ellipse tool and maybe make some little holiday speckles if you like. I think that's kind of cute, you know, add just a little bit more texture to your main ornament that you have going on here. I think that looks pretty cool. And then finally, if you like, you can actually add a little texture over the top of everything. So I have this old paper texture that I really like, and I can put that over the top of my file here and hit enter, and then I can go down into my blend modes and find a blend mode that I like that just adds a nice faint texture to my card, because that makes it look kind of more holiday-esque. And then I can save this. So I'm going to go Control Shift S for save as, and I'm going to save my little Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays postcard here. I'm going to call it HH card. I'm going to save that as a JPEG, and then I am going to go and save or add that to Discord. And I've also got another one that I have created here, which I can show to you. If I pull up my Discord and hit that little plus button here so that I can add my images, I can navigate to my folder where I have those, and I'm actually going to put both of these. Oh, files are too powerful. My files are too large. Let me grab that first one because it was a little smaller. There we go. And I will upload some of the other iterations that I did into the Discord later so that you folks can see like all of the things that I did. Maybe I can just pull this one up and preview it to you so you folks can see the other one that I made because it was pretty fun. And I had a little more time so I could add a little more detail to it. You can see that right here. I added some more details and bows to all of my ornaments in the background, which was really fun. And then lastly, I am going to jump over to Behance, and I'm going to upload my design to my Behance project. So again, if you want to upload to Behance, all you have to do is hover over your project, hit edit, and then scroll down to the bottom where you can just hit add media or insert media, and you can grab your file from wherever you saved it to. That is all the time I have today, folks, to share this challenge with you. You folks can check out my Behance project later to see the updated version of it. I've got to take off here because I am running out of time, but I really appreciate you folks being here with me today. I can't wait to see what kind of cards you make for the holidays in the Discord, and please stay tuned because we've got a full day of design coming up after me. Adios, everyone. Happy holidays and happy designing.